Good morning, everyone. Welcome to James River TED Ed Club. Today we'll be hearing from Austin Tope.
Up until about 8th grade, I was probably the most boring person ever. I did everything that I was told to do, without question. My thoughts and interests were simply things that my friends liked. I didn't have any true passions. This all started to change when I was about 14. I discovered this kind of music called rock and roll. Maybe you've heard of it, or maybe you just heard me be annoying about it. And I don't want to sound cheesy, but rock and roll truly saved my life. I began to listen to the music almost every day, and it moved me for some reason. I idolized bands like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles because to me, they were the epitome of cool, and they still are. And I began to read online articles and books, everything I could about the musicians and the albums and the songs that sprang from this genre. Honestly, I probably know everything there is to know about rock and roll. I mean, if you ask me about a famous classic rock album, I could probably tell you the year that it was released. But I'm not here to encourage you to listen to the music, even though you should, because it's great. To me, rock and roll means more than that. When reading more about the culture, I discovered that many aspects of rock and roll are things we should apply to our daily lives. Regardless of whether you like the music or not, it's important to have a rock and roll attitude. But what exactly is this attitude? To me, it's a sense of individuality and freedom. A DIY, take no bullshit kind of mindset that challenges conformity and expresses thoughts and feelings towards society. I mean, it's great. And when used properly, it truly allows our passions to take over and allows us to be ourselves. Let me give you a few examples. These two legends right here are Bob Dylan and John Lennon, two of the greatest songwriters from the 60s. They channeled their disenchantment towards society and corruption into their song lyrics and became spokespeople for a defiant youth counterculture. And although they faced backlash because of their controversial social commentary, they still stayed true to their values and continued to rock on. This lady right here is Debbie Harry, lead singer of a 70s band called Blondie. Great musician. But at a time in the 70s where the rock charts were dominated by male-led rock and roll bands, she broke gender barriers and showed the world that a female rock vocalist can be just as good and just as successful as everyone else. And of course, she faced backlash. Many men in her audiences only gawked at her looks and didn't care to see the person inside of her. And although she is probably one of the most beautiful people ever, there's more to her than that. She pushed through this adversity and showed through her vocal range and her lyrics that there was more to her than meets the eye. She gave a voice to females in music and inspired many females to pick up a guitar or start singing and join a band. Finally, David Bowie, one of my personal favorites. David Bowie, through his unique and broad musical taste, his innovative sense of fashion, truly embodied what it meant to be an individual. And of course, he did face criticism for his bisexuality or his exotic and sometimes feminine taste in fashion. But he didn't let this faze him. He stayed true to himself and didn't care what others thought. He was seen as an outsider and a weirdo, but he embraced this image and showed people who were called outsiders or weirdos that it was great to be one. He truly embodied what it meant to be an individual. All of these people and many more truly showed the rock and roll attitude. They showed what it meant to defy others and get through adversity. When I discovered rock and roll and I discovered this mindset, it truly changed me. For the first time, I became passionate about something, and I wasn't scared to be myself, as you guys can tell, because I'm sure a lot of you know I'm like really annoying about rock and roll. I'm giving a whole TED talk about it, but I'm not afraid of that. Truly, because the attitude has taught me that it's okay to be yourself. And I don't want to sound corny, but it truly is the best you can be, to be yourself. And whether or not you like the music is irrelevant. It hurts to say that because I freaking love the music. It really is. I mean, anyone can have a rock and roll attitude as long as they value themselves as an individual. So I encourage you to use this mindset in your daily lives. I encourage you to speak out about things that you hate, to call out problems in society, to not filter your thoughts just because of what other people think. I encourage you all to be rebellious, but not just for the hell of it, but because you actually want something to change. And do this with a flair. A flair that is unique to you and only you. Something that no one, no matter what, or no adversity, nothing can change. Thank you.